What's up, guys? So with the MCU's What If series coming out on Disney Plus next month, I want to take a look at the star of the show, and that, of course, is Uatu the Watcher. So if you don't read comics, What If stories are stories of comic events that happen in alternate realities. So like in the main Marvel universe, we all know that Steve Rogers took the super soldier serum and became Captain America. But in a different universe, Peggy Carter takes the serum. And Uatu the Watcher is the one who tells the readers the what if stories. And these stories are told by Uatu because he watches Earth and all of its alternate realities. So in today's video, I'm going to be covering the origins and comic history of Uatu the Watcher. Uatu first appeared in the Fantastic Four number 13 in 1963. And the Watchers themselves have already appeared in the MCU during the Stan Lee cameo scene, but Uatu has been in a ton of Marvel stories, so I won't go over all of them, but I will go over his origins and touch on a few of his more important stories, and wrap up by explaining what his powers actually are. So Uatu is part of the Watcher's race, which is one of the oldest and technically advanced races in the entire universe. On top of that, they're morally perfect. On their planet, there's zero violence, zero crime, everybody's looking out for each other, everyone's helping. It's basically a planet full of saints. And at a certain point, they pretty much reach the pinnacle of achievements. There's no poverty, no disease. They're one of, if not the most intelligent and advanced planet in the universe. So they've done it all. And they're kind of just like, well, okay, now what? And it's Uatu's father, Icor, who proposes that their planet's mission should now be to assist other planets in their development. And he meets some initial pushback from other Watchers, but Uatu backs up his dad, and their mission is approved. So Icor and a group of Watchers go to the nearest undeveloped planet, and what they did was teach this planet how to harness nuclear energy to be used as an energy source, which would advance this planet like 1,000 years into the future. So the Watchers give them this technology, and then they leave. And a little bit later, they come back just to kind of check in on how things are going, and you can guess what those uncivilized cavemen did with atomic energy. Well, they made bombs and ended up blowing up their entire planet and basically ending all life on that planet. The Watchers are good people, so they felt pretty guilty about interfering with another planet, which ended in a global genocide. So instead of introducing technology that didn't have the capability of killing everyone for their second attempt, they just gave up on the idea completely. And it's Uatu's father, who's filled with guilt, drafts a new rule for their race, that never, under any circumstance, will they interfere with another planet, but they will only observe, watch, and record what other planets are doing. This is when they take on the name the Watchers. Now, why do they watch and record everything in the universe? Well, it's because their plan is to record everything, then pass on all of their records to the next universe. How exactly do they plan on passing records to the next universe after their universe is destroyed? I have no idea, but that is their endgame. Uatu kind of begrudgingly takes the oath to only watch, although deep down he doesn't really agree with it. Yeah, the first attempt was kind of a giant disaster, but he believes that his father's dream of trying to help other planets should still be their goal, although he kind of just buries that deep down. Eventually, Uatu is assigned to watch the development of the planet Earth. It's important to note that when he watches, he doesn't just watch one event happening on that planet at a time. He's able to watch everything. He sees everything that's going on the planet all at once. And when he gets assigned to Earth, what he does is he goes to the moon and builds a citadel on the blue area of the moon. Now, the blue area of the moon is kind of confusing. It's an area of the moon that has oxygen, but this is where Uatu builds his citadel/house to observe Earth from. Now, he does observe other planets as well, but he mostly focuses on planet Earth. And although Uatu can see all things from the moon, he will occasionally travel to a planet in person to observe up close. And he only does this usually when something's about to go down. So seeing the Watcher up close typically means pretty soon people are going to be dying. But one of the first time he travels to Earth, in what is probably his best known comic appearance, is when he warns the Fantastic Four about the coming of the Silver Surfer and ultimately the coming of Galactus, in their first comic appearance. And what we see in this comic is that Uatu does some major interfering during the story. The Silver Surfer acts basically as Galactus' scout. He finds planets for Galactus to eat, and Uatu doesn't want Earth to get eaten. So at first, Uatu tries to disguise Earth to be a dead planet by creating an illusion to make it look like the entire planet is on fire, although this doesn't fool the Surfer, but it does freak out everyone on Earth. Ultimately, Galactus does come to Earth, but this doesn't stop Uatu from continuing to meddle in Earth's affairs. He tries to talk to Galactus one-on-one to get him to stop, which doesn't work, so he ends up boosting Johnny Storm's powers to send him into space to steal a weapon off of Galactus' own ship called the Ultimate Nullifier, which is a weapon powerful enough to kill Galactus. This forces Galactus to leave. That just shows how much interfering Uatu usually does. And interfering is something that Uatu does a lot, like a whole lot. It's actually revealed during an Eternal story that Uatu has interfered with humans 337 times. So he certainly doesn't do a great job at just watching. He's also the center character in Marvel's original Sin story, where Uatu's body is actually found dead by Thor, and both of his eyes are missing. It's not that great of a story, but we do learn that the Watcher's Citadel has a massive armory in it, with some of the most powerful weapons in the universe, and we get the reason why Uatu watches so many alternate realities. And it's because he's just trying to find one reality that his father's interference in the initial planet that they tried to help develop didn't end with them blowing themselves up. Uatu's father's interference with this planet actually helped the planet, so he watches every alternate reality. But no. Basically, in every alternate reality, the same thing always happened. They all end up dying because of the Watchers. So, in the story, Uatu is dead, and both of his eyes are ripped out of his head. And this is where we learn that the Watchers actually store all the information that they observe in their eyeballs themselves. And if you kind of take one out, you can learn essentially all the secrets of the Earth, because he's always watching everything that's going on. And at the end of the story, it turns out that it was a bunch of D-list villains, mainly the Orb, whose head ironically is just one giant eye, shot Uatu, took one of his eyes and a bunch of his weapons, and it was Nick Fury who ended up killing Uatu and stole his other eye to find the villains and took his first eye. Also, he was covering up the fact that he was doing a bunch of really shady stuff to prevent attacks on Earth. More or less, the Watcher wanted to die. He tells Nick Fury that he's tired of watching and basically forced Fury to kill him. It wasn't that great of a story, but one of the things that happened during that story is that Nick Fury, who knew all the secrets of all the superheroes, ends up causing Thor to no longer be worthy of his hammer because he whispered Thor's secret to him. It never says what the secret was, but it leads to him not being worthy anymore. And it was because of this that led into Jane Foster actually becoming Thor, which we'll see a version of in the Thor 4 movie. And this story took place in 2014, and Uatu stayed dead in comics for the next 6 years. He only just last year was resurrected back from death. So one of the last things I want to look at before we wrap up this video is, what are Uatu's actual powers? Obviously he has the ability to see into different realities and see all things going on at once, and he's able to actually process all of this information all at once. A lot of times this is called cosmic awareness, where you know everything that's going on in the universe all at once and you're able to actually process that information. A lot of characters who have had cosmic awareness actually go insane because it's too much information. Uatu is also a very powerful telepath. He can also generate very powerful illusions, as we see when he covered the entire Earth with fire and rocks when he was trying to hide it from the Silver Surfer and the Galactus. He's able to wield cosmic energy, also known as the power cosmic. This is the same energy that Galactus uses, which makes him so powerful. He has the ability to teleport, which he does by converting his body into energy. Then he moves through space at hyper speeds. He can time travel, and not just himself, he's taken other people through time as well, such as the Fantastic Four to fight King the Conqueror. But what makes him truly one of the most powerful beings in all of Marvel, and he is that powerful. The Watchers are basically a low-tier version of a cosmic entity, which are basically the gods of Marvel. He's not quite Galactus level strength, but he's in that same ballpark. One of the things he can do, which makes him so powerful, is that the Watchers are essentially immortal. It's explained in a Quasar comic that the Watchers can die simply by choosing not to live anymore, but they can also resurrect themselves by just choosing to not be dead anymore. It's also explained that the Watchers have essentially what is a form of reality warping power. Basically, if they have a thought in their mind, they really focus on that one thought that they have, that they can make that thought into a reality. You can basically just think, hey, I want that person to be dead now, or I want that person to turn into cotton candy right now. If he just thinks about it, that becomes a reality. So yeah, the Watchers and Uatu, an incredibly powerful character with a long history in Marvel Comics. But with that, I think I'm going to wrap up this video. If you like this video, make sure you slap that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.